Unseen Podcast.
Have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens to the ground beneath our feet if we just keep growing the exact same crop in the exact same spot for literally half a century? Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're uncovering a 50-year-old mystery that's been hiding right under our noses, or rather hidden deep inside the microscopic world of our agricultural soils. You know, rice is a foundational crop. It literally feeds half the entire planet. But to keep up with that massive global demand, we really push the Earth to its absolute limits. And when a team of researchers decided to investigate Malaysia's Tanjung Karang rice bowl, which is this huge, heavily farmed agricultural hub, they uncovered a really startling truth. They found out exactly how continuous, large-scale farming completely reshapes the very dirt that keeps us all alive. Now, to really grasp what's happening out there in those paddies, we first got to talk about monoculture. Basically, this is the agricultural practice of planting just one single crop species on the exact same plot of land, year in and year out. And look, it is undeniably efficient for maximizing short-term harvests. But demanding that the soil perform the exact same task for decades? Yeah, that starts raising some serious alarms about its long-term health and sustainability. So, to measure the actual impact of this, scientists set up a pretty stark comparison. On one side, you have the heavily farmed Tanjung Karang soils. These are flooded environments that have been absolutely saturated with heavy chemical fertilizers for over 50 years. And on the other side, just nearby, is the Raja Musa Forest Reserve. That's a pristine, completely untouched ecosystem thriving on natural organic decay. They essentially wanted to know, what does a half-century of relentless farming actually change in the ground? Well, the first major finding reveals a drastic chemical shift. It turns out, decades of applying chemical fertilizer to the exact same spots doesn't just feed the plants, it fundamentally alters the entire chemical landscape. The data shows enormous nutrient imbalances. We're talking extreme spikes in accumulated phosphorus. So instead of a naturally balanced ecosystem, the soil basically turns into a giant storage facility for leftover built-up chemicals. But here is the absolute wildest twist. When they ran the DNA sequencing, it proved that the heavily farmed soil actually holds a higher diversity of microbes than the untouched pristine forest. I know, crazy, right? Rather than wiping out the microscopic life, the flood of synthetic chemicals forced the microbes to mutate and adapt. They radically reorganized their populations, essentially building a completely new genetic city down there just to survive and process all those heavy inputs. Okay, so what does this all mean for us? Why does it matter? Well, it exposes a deeply fragile system, because if the natural microbial balance of our soil is entirely dependent on continuous synthetic fertilizers, our future food supply is absolutely at risk. Giving the Earth a desperately needed break through sustainable practices, like rotating crops and adding natural organic amendments, is no longer just optional. It's essential for keeping the soil alive. Ultimately, it leaves us with one pretty critical question. Are we simply growing food, or are we engineering the very earth we stand on to a point of no return? Think about that for a second. For more information, please read the full manuscript on the MJOSH website, and please note that this explainer was generated with the assistance of Notebook LM. Thanks for hanging out, and keep learning.